Hi. One question I'm often asked is, why do we have to get involved in sight singing? Or why is sight singing such a useful skill to have? And it's a question that's particularly asked by people who are not singers, and often people who are going through the music education system thinking, well, one of the requirements of exams is that I have to sing, but actually I'm a guitarist or a trombonist, so why does somebody want to test my singing? Well, of course, usually the answer to that is that nobody's testing your singing, but what it's about is actually working out what you can hear. Now, if you're a singer, obviously being able to sight sing is a very useful skill. If you can pick up a piece of music and read your part, well, life is a lot easier than if you can't do that and you have to spend hours, studying it and trying to remember everything that's going on, learning by rote or learning off a recording or something. So the ability to read the music and be able to sing it is wonderful. It's quite hard actually, because if you're playing an instrument, you've got things to help you locate notes. So you might have a particular fingering. So you look at a note, even if you've no idea what it's going to sound like, you know that if you put your fingers here, it's going to produce that note. Or if you hold a string instrument and you're in a particular position, it's going to sound that note. Or if you're on a keyboard instrument, you can see where C sharp is. If you're going to sing, actually you've just got to pluck a note out of nowhere. So the skill of sight singing for a singer is a big challenge, but one worth overcoming. And I've done a lot of work with singers over the years, and I've done quite a lot of auditions for professional choirs where people have turned up able to sing absolutely beautifully, and when you give them a piece of music to sight sing, they're not really off the starting blocks with it, and then we can't really offer them a job because we need people who can sight sing really efficiently. So sometimes it means that the people who can sight sing, even if they haven't got quite the voice of one or two other people, they're more likely to get in certain environments where that sight singing is a really important skill. But it has a broader application for all the non-singers, if you like, in the world as well. It doesn't matter if you're a violinist or a tuba player or a pianist or a harpsichordist or whatever. Actually, if you can sight sing, it develops a very useful skill, which is to look at notes and know what they're going to sound like before you play them. This has a very positive impact, for example, on sight reading skills on instruments. Because if you can look at the next note or the next chord and know what it's going to sound like because you can hear it from your ability to sight sing it, even if that's going on in your head, you'll be a much more efficient sight reader. And you won't be taken by surprise, as people often are. Quite often when people sight read, they play the next note or the next chord and they stop because they think, something about this sounds a bit strange. Am I playing the right notes? And then they stop to have a little think about what they're playing. And then the whole thing loses its fluency. So if you're looking at it thinking, well, I know there's going to be a slight dissonance in that chord, or I know there's going to be a slight surprise here in the melody leaping up there, then you can hear it in your head and it won't take you by surprise and the whole thing will flow better. So the ability just to be able to look at something and think, actually, I can hear what that sounds like because you're dealing with your sight singing efficiently, makes it a skill well worth acquiring. And you really don't need to worry about the quality of your voice at all. And if you really don't like singing, you can whistle, you can hum, whatever. But the ability to look at a line and actually be able to pitch from one note to the next and be really specific about knowledge of intervals is such a useful skill, as well as learning to read the rhythms and other aspects of what's going on. So because lots of people are a bit vexed by this whole area of sight singing and how can I improve my sight singing, it's often been a long-running frustration for people, we've produced 2 sight singing courses. So there's a level 1 course and a level 2 course. The level 1 course really looking at the basics of how do I progress from one note to the next? How do I really get tuned into intervals, the distance between notes, so we really get the sound of intervals sorted out. Then the level 2 course taking things to a further level and being able to do cleverer things like modulating from one key to another and so forth. So if you're someone who feels that actually developing sight singing skills would be a helpful thing to do, then we've got these 2 courses available at Music Matters. Anyway, have a look at them and see if it's something that you think might be helpful, and sign on to them. And I hope you enjoy that. It's a bit of a slog, sight singing, I have to admit, but actually the end result is so rewarding. You'll be so pleased that you've done it, and it just fine-tunes so many abilities that are useful when it comes to reading music.